And it was shortly thereafter that you headed overseas.
Yes,
And that was on a former cattle ship. Is that right?
That was the first time I went overseas.
Oh, okay. So you came back in between. So that you got the pistol after your first time going overseas.
Yeah, it was the second time I went overseas.
Okay.
But the first time I went over was on the Bloemfontein.
Okay.
You want to hear about the Bloemfontein?
Well, I read about it, and it's a pretty nasty story in many ways.
Oh, that was a nasty ship. It really was. But I thought that's the way it was. You know, I hadn't seen the ocean until I'd gotten in the Marine Corps. And so they put us on the Bloemfontein. And it was in a cattle ship, a Dutch captain, and he was he shipped. He transferred cattle from Australia over to the Dutch holdings in the South Pacific. Well, when the war broke out, he had just dumped out a load of cattle, and when he found out that it was at war, well, he headed for San Francisco. And when he got to San Francisco, he offered it to the Navy, and the Navy took it, made it into a troop ship. Now, they didn't clean that stuff up very good, you know. They shoveled it out, and they left a lot of stuff, and they just painted over it. Of course, when it started sailing, that ship was buckling and everything, and that cow droppings just everywhere, you know. And the bunks were stacked up 8 high. And I was lucky. I was small enough to get in there without any trouble. A lot of those little guys couldn't get in. And the head, in the Navy and Marine Corps, the bathroom is called the head, you know. The head was just a long shed from the bow of the ship back to the holdings, where the captain stood and so forth. And what had happened, they had made a train. What would we?
Latrine.
A what?
A latrine.
Yeah, right there where water would flow down the thing right there. Then they had a pipe for you to sit on. Well, you just sit on that pipe, and then do your thing and get up and leave, you know. Well, that thing broke down. And so here we were out at sea with no way to dispose of, the droppings. Well, anyway, so the Dutch captain signed his crew to make things on the front of the bow of the ship, and kind of like saddle deals on the side of a horse, you know. You just go up there and drop your pants and sit down on that thing and drop it and feed the fish, you know. Well, I was too bashful to go out there and use that because there were 13 naval nurses on that same ship, and they sit up there, and I held off. I was trying to hold off till dark because I was too embarrassed to go. But finally, I had to go, so I just went up there and dropped my pants like the rest of them did. Well, when you're floating along there, you're going up and down. First thing you know, your butt is in the water, and it comes back out. And you didn't really need toilet paper because you didn't need them because there wasn't any on there. That was a problem the whole time I was in the Marine Corps overseas was toilet paper. Oh, that was something. But that's the way we traveled there. And when you go through I was seasick. I was seasick all the time. They put me in the sick bay, and for some reason there was a box of Hi-Ho crackers in there. I don't know what it was doing on a troop ship, but there was some on there. And so I'd eat a couple of those every hour, and I'd hide them so nobody else could get them. And we was on that ship for 29 days to get to New Caledonia. And one day the ship broke down. here we are drifting out there, and we drifted for, probably 30 or 40 hours, you know. And we was taking bets as where we would drift to in South America. and they passed the word out that we were supposed to keep our life belts on at all times and keep your eyes looking out for submarines, because we didn't have any escort. We was just out there by ourselves in a slow cattle ship, and we was in real trouble. And we drifted for 72 hours, and they finally got the engine going again. So here we are going to overseas. We didn't know where we were going, you know. And then we got a scare that there was possibly a Jap submarine in the area. So we pulled into the nearest island we were close to, you know. We pulled in there, and I fell in love with that island. It was Tonga Tapu, and we just went in there to one of these things you see in the movies, you know. And we pulled in that bay and dropped anchor, and here the natives came out paddling canoes, and they had coconut, pineapple, a lot of fruit and stuff. They'd throw them up there to us, and man, we fight for those things. Well, anyway, they came back that night and entertained us on the deck of the ship. We were sitting around there, and they were doing their dances, the hula dances, and it was a beautiful island. I mean, it was beautiful. And I swore up right there, I said to myself, Fred Harvey, there's a lot more in this world than Odessa, Texas. And I'm going to see some of it before I die. And so they put on a show, and at last they sung their island song. You know what it was? You Are My Sunshine. And we pulled away from there, and we got started. Then we stopped, went back. Well, what's going on? 6 guys had jumped ship. they went ashore and brought them back. But I didn't think about jumping the ship. If I thought about it, I might have joined them. And so we pulled out and finally got to New Caledonia. We'd been at sea for 29 days. And we was all tickled to finally get there. But that ship was a hell ship, you know. And